about a month ago, maybe. No, I'm sorry, about a month ago. And he had a client that wanted to look at homes in Oak Cliff 3 days before he took his test, I think, or maybe he was already licensed. No, it was 3 days, I think. So anyways, I showed Lucas. I went down to Oak Cliff, an hour from my house, met him and his clients, introduced Lucas. I mean, always told him that Lucas was his agent. He wasn't licensed yet. I showed him 8 homes. I told him as I left, I said, hey, it was great meeting you, but Lucas will be taking over. And then Lucas got his license. He went out of town. His buyers wanted to look at a house. We had another agent in our office show them, because I wasn't able to, even though Lucas was out of town. They showed it without any split at all. And then I wrote the offer. And now I pushed it off on Lucas, and he's doing everything, and I'm walking him through it all. But really proud because he's got his own client and his first sale. Hey. And he's got a question or raising his hand, but I'm going to pass on it because I'm going to get going. All right, so we're recording, Lucas. I'll get you in a second. All right, so what we're going to do, I'm sharing the screen. This will be put on later. And today what we're doing is we're going to first talk about doing CMAs. And it's twofold. Obviously, when a seller calls, you always like to talk about the key is to set the appointment. So got to use somebody as an example, and the food's over there. So let's say Adrian called me, and Adrian's like, hey, my name's Adrian. I'm got your name from Joe Blow, and I want to list my house. And I heard that you could come out and tell me what my home's worth. Then I'm on the phone with him. I always pick my phone up, and I would say, absolutely. When do you want to meet? And so today's Thursday or Friday. Let's say he says, tomorrow at 10. All right, cool. Is this your cell phone? Yeah. Do you text? I do. What's your email? Adrian@adriangomez.com. All right. And it's 123 Easy Street. Yeah. Well, are you going to be moving to another state, or are you moving to an area around here? Yeah. I'm thinking about just moving around. My kids are graduating from high school, going to go off to college. I think we're just going to we're in Frisco in a $500,000 house. We're probably going to downsize a little, but that there's nothing in Frisco under 300. So, it's going to be somewhere comparable. All right, cool. It's just good for me to know that. You have any idea what your home's worth? I don't know. My neighbor sold their house for $550. It's closed a couple of weeks ago, and we've been in their house for a party, and it's very comparable. But we have a pool, so all right, well, cool. Well, I'll see you Saturday at 10. I get off the phone. I immediately go in, and I have a business card that's electronic on Haystack. That's a free business card. I have all my social media tied to this business card. I send it to him immediately. The next thing I do is I go to my YouTube page, which again, I'm not like, a YouTube person, but I do talk in front. I do mostly video messaging to people. And I have a YouTube video that says, why pick Doug Smith as your agent? I would send it to him. So he gets to start seeing me communicate via text, not a text, which could be misinterpreted, but actual me. Then I'm going to go in the MLS. And did you buy your home currently in the MLS?
Yes.
Okay. So what is your address?
5811.
Okay, so I'm going to log into MLS, and when I log into MLS, this is the site. Okay, so I'm going to log into MLS, and what I do, Rose, is I kind of clean up everybody's MLS. It'll always look like this screen that's about to pop up, and that will be so we can all train from this. Okay, now you can always add more, but I minimize everything to 3 boxes. Well, he already told me his address. So I'm going to go into MLS, and I have this exact website on my phone. What is it?
5811 Abingdon Drive, Abing.
Okay. So let's say I don't know how to spell. And when he said Avignon, because he's Italian, what are you, Italian?
Mexican.
You what? What?
Mexican.
Yeah, Mexican, that I don't quite understand how he just said it. But I know that I could have said, how do you spell that? And he goes, A. And then I see a rec, and I don't even listen to anything after A. This is good enough if he bought it in the MLS, because this goes all the way back to 2003 and keeps a record. So I just hit enter. And you're going to see that, is that the property?
Yeah.
Okay. So here's the property. Now again, he's now asking me to come in and sell it. So I think that it's great to be able to print this out for my records. So I'm going to click on the MLS number, and I'm going to print this. And all you do is go right here and go print. Now, here's the deal. When you go list a home, you bring everything. When you work with a buyer, you might e-sign the contract, but when you meet somebody, the close is in writing because you're going to be there. So I'm going to print this. So I'm going to hit print. And I'm going to print the agent full report. And all you do is select it right there and you print it. And when you preview it, this is what it'll look like. Because at the bottom, so I'll wait for it to come back. So I'm going to hit the back button. Just because of Wi-Fi, probably. All right, so here we are. Okay, so again, when I print it, it's going to look like this. Okay, you can see it was on the market a while. That could be because it was a new home. It could be a number of reasons, but I'm going to print it. All right, at the very top. Okay, again, this is just clicking on the MLS number. This is called the agent full report. Right next to listing, that tax. If I click on it, it gives me the tax roll. Okay, I'm going to print that. Actually, when I talk to him, I need to make sure that his name on the phone is that name there. If it wasn't, he could still be living in that house and have a contract for deed. That means that his best friend may be sold in the house, but it's like me driving your car. If you have a car payment, you still own it. I'm just increasing your equity. So I've had that happen before. So I'm going to print this. So far I have the agent full report and the tax roll. Okay. Now looking on this, you can see that this is the subdivision right here. I like to go ahead and copy and paste. And then I'm going to go hover over search. So I'm going to go back real quick to the main is I want to do a CMA because I want to tell him what his home is worth. So I'm going to hover over this search tab. And always when I hover over this search tab, I'm going to go residential for a house and go quick. When I go quick, I've set this up for everybody to be for buyers. And so it's only going to be sending active. I want to get these 3 and these 2. So what I like to say, if you're on the phone with me, I won't even be logged in. I can tell you, I'll go, look, active will be marked, skip coming soon, hit the next 3, skip the next 2, and mark the next 2. And I'll say, when you hit those last 2, it'll say 090, change it to 180, because that's going back 6 months.
Can you preset that?
No. Well, you could, but what you would do is be presetting it to a CMA every time you open it. Okay. So then I go right here to subdivision. Remember I copy and pasted it? So I'm just going to copy and paste. Okay, so notice that I have Windsor EST, but it said on the tax row estates. I'm going to hit the shift button and the 8, and that wildcards that Windsor and EST. It automatically wildcards anything that starts with EST. So I don't need to actually spell out estates because I put the shift and the 8 button. That asterisk means it wildcards, and you can see there's 18. Now, Windsor could be a pretty popular subdivision name all over Dallas. So now I need to put in the exact city he lives in. Wasn't it Richardson?
Richardson.
So as I type in Richard, you can see that there's a D, S. Once I hit O, if it selects it, you're good. You don't have to continue typing the N. Now there's 18 still. Do you have a pool? Mm-hmm. So I'm going to scroll down, and this is where some of y'all might not have pool. Right now, this is everything that's the search criteria. There is no pool on here, but I want to search pools. So I'm going to scroll down below the results tab, and below the results tab right here, it's either going to say add or add remove. You click on add or add remove, and the next screen on the left shows you every search criteria in the MLS that's available. On the right, it shows you what you have. So you want to find it over here on the left and move it on the right. And it's dummy proof. So right here, I'm just going to type in poo. And it's going to pull up everything with POO. And there's pool, yes, no. And I go add, and it just moves to the right. Once it moves it to the right, and it'll say it in a second. Now I'm going to hit the back button. And again, it's just because it's slow, because there's probably a lot of people here on Wi-Fi. Now, when I scroll down below the results tab, look what's right there, pool. And I mark yes, and it goes from 18 to 5. Well, that's so that I can show him what's actually selling in his subdivision that has a pool, not without one. Just makes it easier for me. So now all I do is hit results, and I'm going to have a single line of every property. Now, what I want to get to is right here. Quick result, quick CMA. I've used that quick CMA for 30 years. I've never lost a listing because of it. So I don't hook my computer up and do some weird, production and spend 5 hours at somebody's house. I just want to print this, but I want it to look professional. So I want that to highlight, and I can't highlight it. I go above the one and check all, and then I click quick CMA, and this is going to be good enough. When it prints, it's going to be perfect. So when it shows, I'm going to print it, and so far I'm going to have it's going to be a CMA, and it's going to show active and solds. And the active is going to show what his competition is, and the solds are going to show empirical what he could list his house at price per square foot. And then ultimately he makes his own call because he's the seller. So you can see that right now there's a home at 415 active. That's his competition. Maybe, I don't know what his square footage is, but I would have had it looking at it because I printed it. And then you see the 4 sold. What is your square footage?
41.
Okay, so you can see that down here, the closest one is 3890. So I could take, hypothetically, that 133 on my phone, 133 times, I'm just going to say 4,100, and it looks like 550, okay? Now, I might text him back because let's say that when I talked to him, he said, 550. Now, I could text him back and go, hey, I'm doing some data on your house. I'll see you Saturday at 10. Looks like 550 is abomb.com. I'll see you Saturday. That's how I talk to people. So, knowing that, knowing his personality already, I'm going to get the listing because I know him and he's like that. And again, if he's not like that, I'm still going to go, boom, see you Saturday. Because that's just me. Now, knowing that tomorrow's when I'm going to meet him, he's going to go from 550 to 560 overnight. And that means that when I'm about to do a net sheet, because I'm done with MLS, I printed the agent full, the tax roll, and a CMA, okay? I now need to do a net sheet because that's all he really cares about at the end of the day. I could screw the pooch on everything, but I better have a net sheet. So this is an app that I use. And again, I got to do it kind of secretly because the reason is because this is easy to spell and I can tell everybody to go. The website is this, chicagoagent.com.
Wait, what is it? Chicago Agent.
Space and then ONE. That's on the App Store and it's this exact one. But I need to go in and get my login. So
Truly can give you those.
the net sheet, yeah, I don't know. So let me explain how cool this is. So when you do it on your own, and you can do this no matter if you don't even have to be a realtor and you can do it because it's just an app. It's free. And it'll ask you your phone number, your email, and then it'll open to this. Okay. Now on your phone, the buyer seller will be at the bottom. I'm sharing the password in case somebody needs it. So you can see that if Adrian is a seller right now, buyer's highlighted. So I'm going to hit seller. And when I hit seller, it's going to change to a net sheet. And this is like super cool because I'm going to do 3 net sheets, 550, 560, and 570, or 540, 550, and 560. I know he said 550, so I need to at least do 550 and 560. So the first one I'm going to do is 550. Okay, 3 zeros. I go down to commission. Well, I hit the rotary. Remember when I asked him and he said, hey, I'm going to buy another house? Mm-hmm. Well, I have a business plan, and that is that I'll list his house for 6 if he's moving to Alaska. But if he's going to buy a home and I'm going to be his agent, he ain't paying for me. The seller is. So I'll reduce Mike from 6 to 5. That means I'm going to get 2 and 3 will go to the agent that brings the buyer. So I need to change this. And the listing broker fee needs to be 2%. Then I hit done. It's going to ask me if I want to use it on all. No, I just want it on this estimate. And then there's 5%. I scroll down. The tax rate for DFW is 2.4. This program puts in 2.7. I'm going to leave it alone.
Is there a reason why it goes up higher just because it can go up? Or?
They're trying to estimate the highest tax rate, but I'm fine with putting 2.73 because his taxes will be less than that and I'll look like a hero. So it doesn't matter to me. Interest rate. This program is guessing what he has on his current mortgage. I don't care because I'm never going to get his payoff. So I'm going to delete that. So again, before I hit compute, which I'm about to, let me tell you what I filled in. I filled in 550. I hit the rotary and changed the commission. I left the taxes alone and I deleted the interest rate. When you do this, if you hit the rotary, you can pick a 30-day closing from whenever you open this and it's automatic. So you never even have to worry about that. So because today's 8/12, it automatically, I didn't even put that date in. All you do is hit compute and it's going to do a net sheet. I haven't touched the computer. It's going to do a net sheet. Now, when I scroll up, it says that he nets 507 at 550. Okay, now that doesn't look real professional. So at the bottom, you're going to hit share. And over here on the right, you can pick whatever template you want that fits your personality. And you know, I'm ADD, but I don't want a bunch of weird shit when I'm having somebody come to my house. So I'm not doing this one, but it is super cool because it's really, you know, so I like pretty basic and I found that this one's pretty good. But again, you use whatever, it's going to fit your personality. All right, so here's the cool thing. This is the exact way it will look on your phone, and you can email it to yourself. You can print it, okay? If you email it to yourself, you'll then print it. If you print it, you can print it. But this is the way to look. So let me just act like this was printed, and I'm explaining it to you. Number one, I have to be able to read upside down because you'll be sitting across from me at a kitchen table. And I'm like, hey, Rose, so I did 3 net sheets. You know, remember I talked to you yesterday and you said 550? Well, you still thinking that? And of course, you're going to go, you know, Doug, overnight, I thought 560 is probably more realistic. I'm going to show you how quickly I'm going to be able to do another one. But I would just go, well, at 550, your total closing costs are 31,757. Does everybody see that? Those are itemized down further. I'm going to explain those to you in a second. I don't worry about your balance payoff because you most likely, with due respect, don't know as well because we still have September's 1's payment. So when I leave, if you go online and you put a closing date as of 9/12, you will get an accurate payout. You'll subtract it from 507,794. That'll tell you what you walk away with at closing. Okay. Now, do you pay your taxes every month? Generally, yes. Well, here's what's happened. Your lender has debited you taxes from January 1st to 9/1. That's been taken and thrown against a wall at your mortgage company. So you have 9 months at your mortgage company. You're not going to get that back the day of closing. You'll get it back like 8 weeks later. So it's not a wash. You're actually going to be debited 9 months at closing. That's why I'm showing that prorated tax debit. Okay. Now you'll be debited that out of your proceeds. About 8 weeks later, you'll get that full refund back, but you're not getting it back the day of closing. So I'm never going to show it zero because if I did, you'd be having a debit of $10,500. Is everybody with me? All right. And she goes, man, I appreciate it. And I go, hey, are you meeting other brokers? Let's say you said yes. I would say, you know what? I would demand nothing less than a net sheet and one that shows that debit. If they're showing you zero, you really got to worry about what kind of advice you're getting from an agent and if they're really your advocate. I probably just eliminated about everybody because most agents don't show that as a debit. They show it as a wash, but it's not a wash because you're not getting it back for freaking 8 weeks. Then you got to be able to explain this in super simple terms. And all I would say to you is this is a worst case scenario. In this market, there's only 15 days of homes on the market. You're probably not going to pay the title policy. But since I've been licensed, it's generally been a seller expense. So I'm going to show it, and that's one of your biggest fees, okay? Every time we get an offer, I'm going to send you a new net sheet, and it's going to be appropriate for that offer. So you'll always know what your net is on every offer we get. So this is a worst case scenario. Escrow fee, doc, track cert, recording fee, all standard. Doesn't matter where you close at. Home warranty, I put $400 in here. You might not even pay that because right now there's no homes on the market and a buyer's ended up paying their own home warranty. Your 2 biggest fees are the commissions. So remember when you told me yesterday that you were going to move maybe to the area? Well, I have a business plan that says that if you were moving to Alaska, I charge you 6%, 3 to me and 3 to the agent that brings the buyer. I would absolutely demand, you know, I think that you should absolutely have the same agent help you sell this house as buy. I'd love to be that. And because of that, I would work it to where you'd net the most on this house. So I would reduce my commission from 6 to 5. Now, when I put my sign in the yard, that's an advertisement. That 3 goes to anybody that brings a buyer. So it's the other 2 that I'm negotiating. So I would do 2 if I was your agent on the next house. Now, it would have to be under contract. If you end up leasing for a year, I'm going to default to 6, but I'll rebate you 1 in a year when you call me back. Okay. I'm going to do open houses out the ass. And let's say I'm doing an open house and a buyer walks in and they fall in love with me and I'm the only agent. I'll reduce my commission not only from 6 to 5, but 5 to 4. So you'll net 2% extra. Now, it sounds like I'm just proselytizing myself, but aren't I making more at 4 than I would in any other scenario? Yeah, because the best case scenario, I'm making friggin' 3, and that's at 6. I'm making 2 at 5. Now I'm making 4, but I'm the only agent. But you don't know that because you're a seller and people don't understand. They just look at you like, man, you do that? You sure you don't have to ask anybody? Well, I've strategically aligned myself with a brokerage firm. I don't have to okay commission because I pay 1 fee to them and I could friggin' list your house for 0 because you'll only pay me $225. And I've done that a lot. You know, there'll be somebody that one day will list a home for 0 to be the agent on the buy. If you told me that you were buying $1 million house next month in Frisco and I'm going to make 30 grand, I would list your house for 0 to get it. I'm going to make 30 grand in 1 month. That's $1,000 a month, a day. That's $1,000 a day. I mean, so again, you're going to pay $225 and eat it on the listing for 0, but you're going to make, I mean, the average price range in Plano last week came out, it's $396. So that means the average home in Plano is $400. That's a $12,000 commission. You sell one of those homes every other month, you made 100 grand with me, because you're paying. I mean, on 7 homes you pay $225. That's $1,400, and $100 a month. That's $1,200. I mean, it's crazy. So anyway, so you print this. And again, I've gone on listings with agents. I don't charge anything. I DocuSign my signature here, so it's always printed. I know it looks like a 3rd grader, but when I print this, I tell you to initial it as a seller so that you never come back to me at closing saying I got this wrong. Because if it's wrong, it's because you thought your payoff was different. And I have this to say, no. Isn't that your initials? No, let's go over this. These fees are exact. So again, this is going to be on that. Now, let's say that I also need to do 560 because this is 550. All I do is hit the back button.
So are you digitally showing or just printed?
No, I print it. I got 3 in a row. I'm going to show you what I have in my whole package. But yeah, so now I need to do 560. All I do is go here, tab a couple times, go to the bottom, hit compute, and it does it again. And I go back and I hit 540. I tab a couple times, hit compute. And so I have 3 net sheets. Okay. So just to recap, I've got the agent full report. If it was in the MLS, I've got the tax roll, I've got a CMA, and I've got 3 net sheets. I'm done with MLS and I'm done with the net sheets. The next thing I need to do is I need to go into my forms. Again, there's a bunch of ways to get the zip forms. This is the way I do it. Again, there's got to be like at least 20 ways to get into zip forms. So it's whatever you feel comfortable with. Just trying to templates for everybody. I found out today I dropped the ball on one, but I did it before we had training. So I'm going to use Ramona because she's already, well, I'm going to log out because I don't want that. So I'm going to go over here to a different site. So when you go to texasrealestate.com, Texas Realtors is our trade association. When oh, look at Decavion. Nice. Stranger from the blast from the past. Oh, you're fine. Look, you look like a GQ model or something. You should be on TV or something. All right, so it should have your stuff already saved. You're going to hit login again. You're going to go right back to the screen. It's going to say hi and your name, and right to the right, it'll say zip forms. So we'll see it in a second. And basically what I need to do is print an IBS, a listing agreement, and a seller's disclosure. And so it says, hi, Doug. It'll say, hi, Rose. You'll click zip forms, and the screen will go blue. And when the screen goes blue, you're only concerned about one tab and one tab only. The new button. Hit the new button. You could have possibly screwed up your templates, and then I get involved again after I've already done it once. But I'll do it because it only takes about 20 minutes. But you're just like about to pop up in a second. When I hit the new button, 5 boxes pull up. We only care about the first 3. It's going to say seller, buyer, or lease. And I'll show you. So here we are. Okay. Again, I've said this before the screen's ever hit. So you hit new and 5 boxes pull up. Don't care about the last 2 at all. Listing, seller, buyer, purchase, lease is a tenant landlord. Well, you're a seller. So I'm going to hit listing. I'm going to name it. Okay. I'm going to act like I'm doing it for Mickey Mouse. So Mickey. Okay. That's all I need. I'm always going to select residential. And then right here, it says select a template. I've got 4. You'll have 4. I have 1 for my company, but you'll have 4. It's easy. I've named them like this: tenant, listing, landlord, or buyer. So Mickey is a seller. Listing. I hit listing. Again, all I've done is named it. I always select residential and I hit that. I'll go down to the bottom and I hit save. When I hit save, the next screen that comes up, there's going to be a white summary square. See it at the top? Okay, this square right here. I always say go 2 tabs over to documents. When you click on documents, this is a thing of beauty because it's already pre-filled. So again, the neat thing about a seller is you don't have to e-sign. So all you got to do is print. So the first thing I do is open up the IBS. When you scroll down, it's going to be pre-filled already. The last line is going to be your stuff. Okay, so now you hit so you print it and it's going to be pre-filled. The next thing is you need to get a seller's disclosure. It's already there. You open it and you print it. It's blank. The seller fills it out. You go to the back, you go to the listing agreement, you open it. It's going to be pre-filled. So here, I'm going to do all caps, Mickey Mouse, seller's name. I'm going to scroll down. Okay, I'm looking at the tax roll. I already told you I printed it. It's going to say lot 4, block H, Disney subdivision, city of Plano, Holland County, known as 123 Easy Street. That's it. Okay. You go down to the next page. Most homes have an HOA. I've already marked it. Let's say this home doesn't. All I got to do is unmark it. But if it does, I don't have to worry about it because I've already had it marked. Price, I like to leave blank actually, because again, he said 550. It's probably going to be 560. I'm going to have a pen. I just leave it blank. I do pick the day I'm going to meet him, which is tomorrow. And I usually do 3 months out. Again, people ask me like, do you do a set number of months? Half the time it's just my person. It's whatever I'm feeling. I don't have a game plan for it. I have 6% there. You can add transaction fee if you want. Now, let's say he's my best friend. I'm not going to do that. So I'm going to delete it, but at least it's always there. Does that make sense or not? Okay. 6%. Let's say that he's my brother. Well, I'm not going to do 6. Let's say I'm going to do 5 no matter what, whether he buys or not. But it always at least says 6 because it's a template. I hate to tell you, but from here, the rest of it's filled out. I don't have to touch it. It's all filled out. So again, I'm going to hit save. I wait for it to say saved past tense, and then I'm going to print it. So just to recap, what do I have? Because I'm done. I've got the listing if it was in the MLS. I've got the tax roll. I've got a CMA. I've got 3 net sheets. I've got an IBS, the seller's disclosure, and the listing. Okay. Now I put it all together like that, and I put my home buyer packet on top because I always give a home buyer packet or some type of generic packet to everybody I meet. And it's got my bio and a resume and just some BS in it. So I'm going to now meet him at 10. I'm going to go. I'm weird. I leave early. So even though Richardson is 20 minutes away, I'll leave an hour early. My wife's always like, it's only 20 minutes away. I'm like, I know. I just like to get places early. I'm weird. So I'll get there early. I'll find a park or something. And I've had cops come up to me before at a park and go, hey, what are you doing? And I'm like, I'm a realtor. And they're like, yeah, you've been here an hour. I'm like, I know, I'm weird, but I'm actually, they're like, do you have a business card? I'm like, yes. And no, I've had it like a half a dozen times. So I'll still do it. I'll get there early.
I think when I tell them you're weird, they're like. "Hey,
Well,
man,
no, I know.
sorry."
That's probably not the best. Yeah. So I'll pull up about 10 minutes before the time and I'll just text Adrian and go, hey, Adrian, it's Doug. I just want to let you know I'm out front. I'm good for 10, but if you're ready, I can also come in early. It's up to you. And he's like, come on in. So I'll go up, I'll knock on the door. He'll open. I'll have a firm handshake with him. He'll say, come on in. So we'll be just in the foyer. I'm like, man, beautiful house. What's going on? And I'm just shooting the shit with him. Like, what's going on? Maybe he has a Cowboy shirt on or a Redskins shirt or something. I'm a football fan. I love football. So he has dogs. I love dogs. Not in a Michael Jackson way, but I mean, I like dogs. So I'm not a big cat person, so I'm not going to like get down with a cat, but for him, I will. Again, I hate cats, but I will act like I love that cat, and then I'll burn my clothes when I get home. People will work with you if you love either their kids or their animals, and it's just the way it's going to be. So after a little bit of, small talk in the foyer, there's usually like a little drop in the conversation. It's a perfect time for you to go, well, hey, show me around. Show me what we got. Start showing you around. And I mean, you're like, oh, very nice, very nice. About 10 minutes, I usually go, why don't we grab a seat in the kitchen? I'll show you what I got. We sit down. I have my little packet. I turn it around. I go, first off, Adrian, this is just a little packet on myself. Look at it at your leisure. It's just some propaganda about me, my resume, references. I have over, now I say it like that with me, but what you'll say is we have over 100 years experience. We have every designation you'll ever need with a realtor. And you do when you say we, because it encompasses me and Norma. She got her license a year after Ebby. We have, with all our firm, we have every designation you could possibly want. And so when you start saying we, what he'll never say is, when'd you get your license? But if you say, I got my license yesterday, or we have been in real estate for 100 years, that's a difference. And he'll never say it first. But if you don't have a packet, he'll ask you first. That's why you lead with the packet, in my opinion. Once I turn the packet over, I go, I pulled up the time. I pulled up the time that you bought it, and then I'm looking. I'm like, oh, you bought in 2014. Oh, okay. I turn it over. This is the tax roll. The reason I pull the tax roll up, Adrian, is to make sure that you're the owner. And also, I found that you paid $12,430 last year for property taxes. Is that right? He goes, yes. I turn that over and I go, this is a CMA. I remember you told me yesterday, 550. Were you still thinking that? And what's he going to say? You know what? I think my house is really better than all the other houses here. We raised our kids here. I mean, it's a castle. I think 560. Well, I mean, I have a third net sheet for 560. So I turn it and then I get to the 3 net sheets and I'm like, well, let's just throw out the other 2, concentrate on 560. And I go over it just like I did with you. If after going over the net sheet, I might say something like, what do you think? And if I see like a positive, like I go, well, hey, just so you know, there's no pressure from me, but every listing I come to, I always have my sign and key box in the car. If you wanted to move forward, all I need is a spare key and I'd have your home showed probably by the end of the day, but that's your call. I just want to let you know. All right, so let's keep going. I do it just like that. I go, this is just a form that the Texas Real Estate Commission requires I give to you. It really just says that I'm going to be your advocate. I turn it. That's all I say about the IBS. And then I go, this is a disclosure that you have to fill out in your own handwriting. I'd like to keep it and wait for it if you're going to list with me today, which of course I'm always ready for. I don't like to get it later because it gives a buyer a right to terminate free for about 7 days. So I like to wait for the seller's disclosure. While we're on it, have you ever filed a claim on the house and not done the work that you got the money for? And he goes, oh, you mean like a roof? And I'm like, yeah. And he's like, I got COVID last year and we also were getting our roof done. I got a $50,000 check, but I lost my job. I used the $50,000 to live on and I never got the roof done. Oh, that's huge. It still needs a roof and you just used money for a claim for something other than the roof. That's a question on the seller's disclosure. What if he says, yeah, my dad died here last year, natural causes. Oh, well, that doesn't have to be disclosed. Before I bought it, there was a triple murder in here. Oh, that needs to be disclosed, even though it wasn't with him. It's knowledge that he knows about the property. So those are things that come up. So after the seller's disclosure, we go right into the listing. Now, some of the things that I do in my listing agreement that I don't template yours because it's a personal decision, I give him a right to terminate at any point during the 90-day listing, at any point. And I cover that because I'm proud of that and probably no one else is going to do it. So if he's interviewing other brokers and I go, hey, just so you know, I have today to October 30th, but at any point that you feel like I'm disrespectful to you, you have the right to terminate the listing with me. And of course, anytime that I feel like I'm being disrespected, you know, it goes both ways. Now, I'm going to work my ass off for you, Adrian. And, you know, I pride myself in answering my phone all the time. I'm going to also talk to you about safety and how never open your door when somebody knocks unless they gain access through electronic key box I put on your front door. So I'm going to spend some time on safety because I really want him to know I care about his safety. But at the end of that listing agreement, I'm going to say, what do you think? And of course, he's married. His spouse will be there. And if he looks at his spouse, and if it's like my marriage, his wife is the decision maker. And if she goes, as soon as I see this, I go, no, I'm not joking. As soon as I just look at him and go, well, cool, find me a spare key. I'm going to go grab my sign. And I will get up and start walking to the door and make them stop me, because that's just an assumptive close. And most people don't have the personality to stop me and say, whoa, wait, I mean, I've already probably done good enough with the things. I mean, he's looking for, when I knocked, he's looking for what am I going to sell it for? What do you charge me? And what do I net? I've done that. He's looking for somebody that he feels comfortable with, which we all will have that. And then maybe something that doesn't lock you into the 90 to 120 days. And again, I mean, there's a lot of brokers that won't let you put that in there, and they've never told you why. And at the end of the day, if I don't have that in there and I piss him off, I could tell him, no, I'm not going to let you out of it. So I'm not going to let you out of a listing for another 2 months. What can he do? Just not fucking show it is what he could do. And what's the point? I have a sign in the yard with not a cooperative seller. What if he knows all y'all from Bunko? Well, I'm never going to get your business. But if I gave him a respectful way out, he could meet y'all and say, you know what? Doug's just super hyper, but he was really great. And you're like, man, I'm hyper. I think I like Doug. And he's like, yeah, well, he was great. I mean, he let me out of this listing agreement. You see what I'm saying? Like, you get more in the long run. So that is the whole process. Even though we weren't going to do that today, we were going to do CMAs. I'm going to show you real quick because we got a couple minutes left. I don't like training to be too long because of attention span. I'm just going to show you two other quick ways to do a CMA. Obviously, we did the CMA based on his subdivision, but sometimes you can't do it on a subdivision. So if you ever go in to do a CMA, you always have to hover over search and go residential quick. Once you get into the search criteria, now this is always going to be for a buyer. So we know for CMA, we've got to go and mark these three. And then I always like to mark pending sold, obviously. And I like to change it back to 180 days. That's going to go back 6 months. Okay, so now I did a CMA on a subdivision. It's not coming up for some reason. So I'm going to go up here and I'm going to select 5 miles and I'm going to slowly type in his address, which was what again?
5811. I-V-I-N-G-D-O-N.
Okay. So as you type it in, it'll automatically pull it. And if it doesn't pull it, you haven't typed long enough. All I got to do is select it and look at the bottom. There's 1,577 homes that are 5 miles from his house. That's way too many for a CMA. Do you have a master down? Okay, so I already have master down below there. We know he has a pool. So I'm going to go down here and I'm going to mark yes. Again, you'll start seeing this number change, 245. Okay, now I need to go, maybe his square footage, he said was 4,100. So I could go 3,500-4,500. And there's 48. And now I'm going to go closer in than 5 miles, 2 miles. Perfect, 21. I hit results. I'm going to get a single line of all the properties. I'm going to check all above. I'm going to hit quick CMA and booyah. Okay. I'm going to have the same thing done, that nice CMA. So again, that's okay. The last one I'm going to do, just so we can get an idea, and it's really kind of cool. Well, I mean, I'm probably not going to do it that way. It's just another option. Sometimes what you'll find is if it's out in the county, that's how you got to do it, when it's out in the county. All right, so here's one more, okay? And again, this is going to be cool for really anybody, whether it's a buyer, a seller. we usually do a training about 45 minutes to an hour because I like to keep the, I'm trying to find, I've logged in so many times. I'm trying to, okay, here we go. All right, so here we go. So I'm going to hit quick. Okay. And let me act like this is a buyer. Okay. And I had a buyer yesterday. They gave me a specific area that they outlined on a map. So I go to map search. And when I go to map search, okay, I'm going to scroll down a little and I'm going to zero in on Dallas. And I'm going to show you what she wanted. So she wanted Richardson, but she wanted a certain corridor. Okay, so she told me she wanted, I'm going to show you where she wanted something like this, but she wanted me to, so right up here, I went to pencil. And then I went like this. Watch this. She wanted me to follow that road. I'm not joking. Now look at that. Is that exact or what?
That's actually pretty cool.
That's friggin' super cool. And trust me, I just figured it out yesterday. Look at that.
I've never used it.
That's crazy as shit though. So now what I do, now I've got that. Now I go to criteria. Now I set the criteria. So now I want 0. I think she said 300. She wanted a 3-bedroom. Okay, well, you can see already I'm down to 40 homes. All right, now I hit results and send it to her, and it's boom. She literally sent me an email with that exact diagram like that. Now, back there on that same map, you can do a square, you can do an octagon, a polygon, and I never knew how to do it like that. And I was just like, well, shit, let me hit that little crayon. And I did. And I was like, oh, you could do a smiley face, do whatever. So anyways, it's just another way. Now, obviously, this could be a CMA if I mark those other ones. So you can do it a multiple way. All right. So that's pretty much the training. And I'll answer any questions y'all have and be able to, and I'm going to go ahead and log out for him. Oh, it looks like it's, let's see where. Yeah. So go ahead. What do y'all have?
Well, so I did what you did, and I kind of used my stepmom's house because some fixed to list it, but there was nothing that showed up. So at that point, do I just go to that map and draw a circle?
That or miles from how we just did it. And that, so what I always do is on my